2021 Film Challenge, Week 3. Let's go. Hey guys, it's John. Welcome back to Blood, Sweat, and Popcorn, where we talk movies. I'm continuing my 2021 Film Challenge. We're on Week 3, and we're talking independent movies. So let's get started. So, for context, independent movies are movies made outside of the major studio system. You know, they're not made by Disney or Universal or Fox. They're made by small companies, small production companies, and they're on shoestring budgets. They're DIY, grassroots, very, 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 down to the earth kind of production value. And that's kind of nice because while they don't have the big support from major studios, they're also not having to cater to what the major studios want them to make. So it allows the filmmakers of independent movies to make the stories that they want to make, to tell stories that they want to tell. And there's a certain type of freedom that I really respect in that process. So day one, we have In the Company of Men, released in 1997, written and directed by Neil LaBute. This film made me so angry. It really did. So there's two guys, two corporate types, played by Aaron Eckhart and Matt Malloy. And they get assigned to a 6-week project out of town at some other location. The film opens, they've been, wounded by women. They're talking bad about women, how women have screwed them over, how, they're so jaded and disgusted by women. So while they're out at this 6-week project out of town, they're going to find a woman while they're there and just ruin her life to get back at women. They're terrible people. I hated them. These two guys are like the typical, chauvinistic, just shitty dudes that we've all met or have known in our lives. And we all know these people. We've met these guys before in our lifetime, or we know someone who is this kind of person, and they're just terrible. I hated them. Oh my god, this movie made me so upset. I guess that's kind of like the point of the movie, to make you see how bad people can be to other people. It doesn't end on a really happy note. I mean, don't get me wrong. The acting was good, the writing was good, everyone was good. It was a good movie. It was well acted, well put together, but it made me so upset. And I was just so ashamed to be a guy, to be a man after watching this movie. Jesus Christ. So, In the Company of Men was good. I probably won't watch it again, and it gets a B. So day 2, we have Mean Streets, that was released in 1973. It stars a very young Robert De Niro and a very young Harvey Keitel. It's one of the first features directed by Martin Scorsese. I could see the maestro that would be Martin Scorsese being formed here. The guy who would go on to direct Cape Fear and Goodfellas and Casino and The Departed and so many other films. You could see the formation, the roots being set in here inside Mean Streets. But there are also some flaws here. You could definitely tell that this was a dry run for what would become Goodfellas and The Departed later down the road. The plot's kind of meandering. There's not a whole lot that goes on. It's just Harvey Keitel making sure Robert De Niro stays out of trouble, and they're gangsters in New York. And that's all there really is to it. There's great scenes, and there's great acting, there's great stuff that happens inside Mean Streets, but it's definitely very raw. It's not as well formed and put together like Scorsese's later works would yield. We still get plenty of great New York set pieces and landscapes and attitudes, and it's very much a New York film. It's all shot and set in Little Italy, and that made it fun. I really enjoyed that aspect of Mean Streets. Am I going to come rushing back to Mean Streets anytime soon? Probably not. So Mean Streets gets a B. So third this week is Winter's Bone, released in 2010 and directed by Deborah Granik. It stars Jennifer Lawrence, and it's a mystery movie set in the Ozarks. And it was Jennifer Lawrence's first big breakout role before she went on to do, The Hunger Games and Silver Linings Playbook. So the story is about Jennifer Lawrence, and it's set in the Ozarks, and she is trying to take care of her two younger siblings. Her mother's kind of like an absentee mother. She's got some mental problems. She can't really contribute to the family. Her dad's missing, and Jennifer Lawrence is on a quest to find her dad, and we meet some very nefarious characters on her journey to go find out what happened, and with some pretty unsettling results. This wasn't an easy movie to watch, but you could really see Lawrence's star start to shine here. Her acting chops are fantastic. She does such great work in Winter's Bone. It's definitely worth a watch, and Winter's Bone gets an A. So the fourth movie this week is Safety Not Guaranteed, directed by Colin Trevorrow, released in 2012, and it's basically a weird sci-fi comedy where a man who wants to go back in time, he wants to time travel, puts a classified ad in the paper expressing that desire, and it attracts the attention of a journalist and his two interns. Jake Johnson plays that journalist, and Karan Soni and Aubrey Plaza play the interns. And this was an interesting story, to say the least. Mark Duplass plays the time traveler, and Aubrey Plaza, Jake Johnson, and the crew, they go out to this small town in Washington to go spy on and discover and investigate this time traveling guy, just to get some sort of interesting topic in their magazine or newspaper that they're working for. And Aubrey Plaza really uses her signature quirkiness and idiosyncratic behavior to tap into the time traveler guy and get on his side and kind of get in with him to get a first person perspective of what he's trying to do, why he's trying to go back in time, why he's trying to do all these things. And it's Aubrey Plaza being Aubrey Plaza, and no one does that better than she does. I mean, the film had great performances, and I love Aubrey Plaza, but it kind of had an inconsistent tone, and I couldn't decide what kind of movie it wanted to be. Safety Not Guaranteed gets a C. Luca Guadagnino directs our fifth entry this week, and that is 2017's Call Me By Your Name. This film won the Best Adapted Screenplay Oscar from the book it's based on, and it's really, really good. So it's the story of an American graduate student. He goes to Italy to be a research assistant for a professor over the summer. And while he's there, he begins a relationship with that professor's son. So during the whole summertime that Oliver, the American student, is there, he and Elio, who is the son of the professor, explore their feelings for each other. They navigate their feelings. They're not sure what they feel towards each other, why they're feeling them. They just know that there's a connection and an attraction there. Side note, this film makes me want to travel to Italy so bad. There's so many great shots of the Italian landscape. It just looks beautiful and serene and peaceful, and I just need to travel. I need to get out of here. I need to go see more of the world. Call Me By Your Name is just an amazing, beautiful movie to look at. I will say this movie reminded me a lot of Brokeback Mountain, just not as depressing. And the last shot of this movie just blew me away. It's just this one single static shot of Elio at the end of the film, and wow, it's just so powerful. And it's a simple story. It just does so much in its simplicity. Overall, to be fair, it is a bit predictable of a film as far as the plot's concerned, but it's a beautiful movie. It's great to look at. It's got great performances. It's got a great story. It's very relatable. Call Me By Your Name gets an A. On day 6, we had a wild ride here. From director Bon Zetlin, we have Beasts of the Southern Wild. This was a crazy flick. It was not at all what I was expecting it to be, but I went into it without really any expectations to speak of. This film tells the story of a community that lives in this fictional island just south of the Louisiana coast, in the Gulf, and specifically from the perspective of two people. This little girl named Hush Puppy, played by Cavante Wallace, and her dad. They're super poor, and after a storm comes through, it ostensibly washes away their livelihood and the livelihood of their whole community. This was definitely an unusual film to look at, and it took me a while to orient myself, which perspective I was seeing the story from. It's not the most conventional film I've ever seen, but I'll give it credit. It's an independent movie and it has this original, fresh approach, and I respect that. And everyone in this movie acted their ass off, especially Wallace. Because of this film, she went on to become the youngest actress ever to be nominated for an Oscar. I'll be straight up, this movie made me cry. At the very end, I won't divulge what happened, but I saw it with a group of people, and we were all crying at the end of the movie. The ending will get you. Oh man, it punched me right in the gut, this ending, I swear to God. Go see Beasts of the Southern Wild. It gets an A. Rounding out Indie Week, on day 7 we have Bottle Rocket, directed by Wes Anderson, who I respect as one of the best and most revered directors working today. Bottle Rocket was Anderson's debut, and you can kind of tell. Just like you could tell that Scorsese had his dry run with Mean Streets, Bottle Rocket was definitely the dry run for Wes Anderson before he went on to make such great projects down the road in his career. The film stars the Owen brothers, Luke and Owen Wilson, and they want to plan a robbery, commit a robbery, and then go on the run. That's the story. That's it. There isn't much of a plot here. A lot of it is them sitting around and talking, or standing around and talking, which is very much a big staple of 90s indie cinema. But besides all that, Bottle Rocket can still seem like it can meander a little bit. It was fun in parts, and definitely required viewing for die-hard Wes Anderson fans, but if you're a casual fan of his, you can skip this one completely. Bottle Rocket gets a C. So that was week 3. My big takeaway from week 3 was, while these films are all really good and powerful in their own way, I never really want to see any of them ever again. I really don't. I will say I do admire the latitude that they took as independent films, as they stuck to their guns and they told the story that they wanted to tell. And for that, they will always have my respect. That being said, my top film of the week is Beasts of the Southern Wild. It was really good. It was. Week 4 will be films directed by women, so stay tuned for that next week. And don't forget to leave a comment for Wildcard Week. I won in January, which is already kind of decided, but going from March forward, Wildcard Week is completely up to you. Whatever film you feel I need to see, drop a comment, let me know, and who knows, your choice may be the one I pick for my Wildcard Week down the road. Thank you all so much for stopping by and checking out my video and checking out my journey. I certainly appreciate it. And until next week, take care, guys.